We are live.
This is the Gillian Parks and Recreation Committee regular meeting for October the 12th, 2022 at 7 p.m. And Melissa Frank contacted me Sunday and said that she had a seminar in Cleveland. So I need a motion to excuse Melissa from the meeting.
I will make that motion.
I will second that. Motion carried. Roll call. Carrie?
Here.
Paula here. And could I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
I will make that motion.
I will second it. Motion carried. And approval of the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
I will make that motion.
I will second it. Okay. Did you have a chance to look at this?
Yeah, I've read it a bunch. I got it pulled up right here. And
Now, those are just suggestions.
Right.
Okay? But we spent a lot of time on this. Do you have any questions or anything? Or?
Well, if I could, I'd like to go to the reservoir projects, and I understand we got it inverted in this report, and I understand I read it the first time, meaning that where it says Amons, it's Amix, and so that got cleared up. I don't know if you want to.
I even asked people about that, and that's what I was told. Okay.
But I don't know, you must, just to try to be funny, you must talk to the wrong people, because it's, so anyway.
Okay.
But when I read that, I want to spend some time on it, because if you get into too much of each park, I don't think we'll make a lot of headway. Early in, I want to say 14 or 15, maybe in 13, we were looking at Amons and Amix, and really spent a fair amount of time trying to decide, is that a park or is that a reservoir? And kind of began to realize that it's really a reservoir, but we could get more out of it if we did a few things to move towards a park. Okay. In the early years when we had control over the freeze funds, which I'll just say just quickly, in parentheses, there's so much confusion in local media and with the schools about how that money flows. Freeze Foundation they're good people, not criticizing, but they meet once or twice a year. And so there's been sort of I think there's a sort of confusion maybe about the city's role in that. And I won't sidetrack any more than that. But I do think a lot of freeze dollars have gone to the school, and I don't think that's maybe real well understood. Anyways, I'll get back off of that. One of the reasons we thought about moving towards a park versus just a reservoir are those two big events in cross-country generally. So there's discussion and planning. If you've been out there, it's a little bit, you don't have to be a worrywart to be concerned about the traffic out there as people move from where a lot of the parking is to where the events are, et cetera, et cetera. We also out there, I'm going to go maybe a few more minutes here. I realize I get it wound up here. There were 40 trees, 10 trees, 40-ish. So if you kind of go back in time and ever gone back there were dozens, no exaggeration, of dead ash tree and other trees out there. So I know that was observed. There are some trees left. We also planted a bunch right along County Line Road, and some of them are doing okay. Most of them are doing okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so as we looked at that, one of the early freeze projects was collaborating financially with the schools to put a pedestrian bridge from one side to another. That's where like Rich is on it, and he'll stay on it, and
Yes, he's called it a few times.
and it's not, and the I don't think anyone in this room is against the idea. But it started out at 185 and 13, I think. We were using a landscape architect to help us with some of the parks projects. We've since, Matt does most of, or all of the stuff that this guy did. He hung an estimate on it, was 185,000. Seemed like a lot for, and it just seemed like a lot. There wasn't much interest from the school in partnering up. And so it just kept falling to the bottom of the list. And I think that's the answer Rich is tired of hearing. Anyway.
Yeah, because he's at least 3 times just this year, he
Yeah.
asked me.
He's calling me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would be a great idea, but it's also, it's an expense that,
Well, I agree with you. I never wondered about I was kind of skeptical about the 185, but I thought, no sense pursuing it anymore with more engineering or finer design. Another kind of aside, I'm not going to lose track of right now, we're working with the EPA and primarily ODNR on things that we need to improve at the reservoir. And candidly, the idea of that bridge is not on their list.
well,
And one of the things that I think about at least is these folks at ODNR and EPA are waiting for a certain output for us to get things more up to their expectation. And here we go hanging a bridge right next to the dam, on Amon's Reservoir. That would strike me as what's wrong with these people. They need to work on another dam. They need to look at some of the things that we're looking at. We hired, help me, DLZ, and they're going through all of those things at ODNR/EPA. EPA is interested because that's our water supply, only water supply, and if that goes down, what are you guys going to do? So anyways, the short version of the bridge is there appears to be an old bridge within 25 miles that's been replaced, and its superstructure seems to be sound. And some discussion, Mike Richard is kind of been interested in that bridge component. Yeah, they would haul it up on a low boy and put it across there. I don't know. That is, right now it's not active. I don't think we should seek any funding. But I mention that because that gets to how or whether you put permanent bathrooms out there. Because if you upgraded one, existing one, then perhaps, the bridge would get somebody from the disc golf course over there. Okay. So at about the same time all this other stuff is going on, the disc golf group, headed up by current council president, built that course. They worked with Shirley on it, but it wasn't something that the city was involved in or permitted. Okay, so when it comes to putting in bathrooms, it's like it's out there. I know we need to look at it, but I just wanted to mention that was a volunteer effort that was really, it was kind of okay, and then the next thing you know, it's out there and they're having tournaments. So anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. So at that time, we had the city engineer look at the costs of how do you get physically water and or sewer from where it is to out there.
Matt sent me this.
Yeah, okay, good.
And I didn't have it in color.
Yeah, it's crappy. It's kind of useful in black and white, but the short of it is there are 2 ways: at the end of Market and at the end, right where Glen Hill Road Machinery is.
Okay.
And when we looked at it before, and I'm working from memory, there are some lift stations, particularly if you're going to try to push any sewer from where the shelter house is on Amons. It's gotta go downhill and then back uphill to the nearest lift station is over on County Line, just east of 61 right there. I know that's right, there used to be full immersion baptisms there.
Oh.
Down in the inlet into, now it's color and character, I'm not sure I would want to do that, and they don't do it anymore, but that's where this pipe would go into the lift station, lifts the waste up and sends it to the wastewater treatment plant. So that's on the sewer side. The water side, I don't know what we would, if you had a water fountain or, I'm being difficult. You really need both to have a restroom. You gotta have sewer, you gotta have water. So we have looked at that, and the costs are,
Prohibitive.
well, kinda. It wasn't a big priority, so that's where the porta pots came from. The solution on the Amon side, we don't think's that horrible, but we were advised, which is a holding tank and a cistern, which we aren't drinking out of that unless you were to drink on the faucet, but it provided water and it gave something to help the holding tank. Morrow County was not real happy about that, said it shouldn't have been permitted and all that. Sort of warned us, it's been a long time, maybe things have changed there, but warned us that they wouldn't permit another one. So you think, well, why don't they realize there's an issue there? Maybe you didn't think that, but yeah, we've looked at it. It's kind of pricey. I'm not sure how much usage you need over a long period of time to justify the multiple 100,000. So that's really what I got on all that. I know it took some time, but I think the background's important. I think the pace of renting that facility out in Amons has picked up. A number of times it's used, and I've heard nothing for kids to do, too close to the water if they fall off the edge. Various feedback on that, but I've also heard a lot of no, we really liked it, put the doors up, and it was a nice facility for what other people were looking for. So, I hope that's additional information and kind of helps you understand why
Well, I didn't know, I was not aware of the background, and it makes sense, but 10 years down the road, it may happen, 5 years down the road, one never knows. But,
if there was any development, I'm going to jump on top of you, I apologize. If there was any two shakes and a wiggle across the street of an indication that there might be housing in the old golf course or anything like that, running a water line down there would be
advantageous maybe.
Yeah, more advantageous, it makes sense. But I think some of our forays into these long water extensions have been problematic because of the TTHM, which once we get it managed better, we're still going to have to keep an eye on it because what we use to
How does
treat the water.
Where does the water come from at the old country club?
I imagine it's off a well, but I don't know.
Okay.
Imagine it's off a well.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, yeah.
Has that ever been tossed around digging a well out there?
Yeah,
We did. I can't remember the details of why we went with the cistern instead of a well. I know we looked into that,
really.
and the cistern was the better route, but I don't recall why, Paul. It's been too long and too many projects in between.
Because there used to be a well out there, up on the side where
that hand pump is.
and so we did look at that, and we'll take a look. I was disappointed we didn't have more paper estimates from those years ago. Like I maybe just didn't keep it because it became a circular file project, but there were some numbers developed by the county engineer. So that's a whole bunch on that. The other stuff, I had a report of some ongoing vandalism, white and red paint on the concrete and on some of the clay stuff down at Heisey. I don't know if I'll give.
Again?
That's just the thing.
Cost of doing business and it's, so yeah, shoot. So the report I got from the family reporter on that is it wasn't bad, but it's down there. Yeah, so anyways, the maintenance, just one or two more things. Upping the maintenance, I think we all realize comes with a cost. And so, sort of a general reaction to this list is got to prioritize, and somehow the collective we, not just Matt or not just we have to put some price tags on that so we can because we'll have to decide of the things we really want to do, which ones of those can we afford, and what kind of plan. Maybe that we could do a lot of the medium-sized things relatively quickly, and some of the bigger things, that have to queue up and, if you will, wait their turn. So that's.
Well, at least you gave us some positive feedback,
Yeah.
which I'm glad you did. I appreciate that.
Good.
But one of the things that I was very pleasantly surprised to find Pico Park out there, but it's so out of the way. I don't think people, unless there's a big group of them, it's just not. But it's got nice trees. And I don't think all the people know it's there.
No, if I thought, as you mull through different projects, if you put a nice new playground out there, would people start to discover it?
But one thing that I did notice was those two pieces of machinery out
Yeah.
there. I really like those.
Yeah, it's a neat park. If I didn't have granddaughters, I wouldn't go out there any more than most people. So if you're involved in softball, you know all about it. You have an opinion about what needs to be done and whatever. So,
But
yeah.
those pieces of machinery out there are part of Callion's history, and I would love for them to be on concrete and maybe a plaque or something.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea too. I think just this week we met with Jerry Pangmore in the line department. We were talking about a number of things. When you go out to the ball field, they're pad-mounted transformers. They're not good and bad, but they're right where people would be sitting, and it's where people end up sitting on. Younger people will sit on those in the game. I said, you think if you knew that was the same thing as that can that lights your street light or your house, would you like your kid climbing on it? So there's a plan to move those transformers, and Jared was a proponent of LED lights out there. So that would really
that would save
get the
money.
transformers the heck out of there and get some new lighting, because it's, I don't know, 10, 12 years it's been up there. Those lights lose they're rated with a certain number of lumens, and that's out of the box day one, and then they fade. So that kind of upgrade at Pico too is something that's in the works. A new project.
Now, you had indicated at one of the meetings that you'd like to take that playground and move it to the other side, because when it's crowded out there, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Kids But where would you put it?
It's between field 1 and 2, but it's the southwest part. No, it's just the west part.
Just the west part, okay.
Yeah, and you fence off the back of it, and then you would confine kids. They couldn't run out around the outfield fence, and so when they went to the playground, whoever's watching, keep an eye on them, will be able to.
I was
They'd
just
be,
thinking,
yeah.
and then they wouldn't have that worry of them running across that.
Yeah, and the look on whoever loses the coin toss, grandpa, grandma, mom, dad,
Yeah.
who leaves the kid's game to go across the street because the younger kid is bugging and bugging and bugging. That look is never, oh, I'm so happy I'm gonna go stand and watch my kid swing.
But
It's like, doggone
Chico
it.
Park has a really nice concession area. And it have you been back in there?
It's been a long time, to be honest. I mean, I have a couple times, but it's been a long time.
I had
Probably not all
I had
this
a
year.
couple nieces that have played there a few times, and they would always call me when they were coming up, and I would.
Yeah, we had a little freeze project,
I never had
What
anyone
a
play there.
ice
I don't know
machine,
what that
and
is.
something else that we fixed a couple years ago. A little freeze project. It's the point of view of the Girls Association is I won't say anything quite as provocative as one of the recent meetings, but they saved that field under Dave Olds. The hell that organization, anybody who wanted to use the fields went through. It's something we don't want to repeat. Got to pay for the lights. The charge had nothing to do with the cost to turn the freaking lights on, to run the lights, but it was hundreds of dollars. So it changed everything around, no night games. And the legitimate needs that they had were not met. If you want to fix it, then fine. So they had an agreement which was you pay for everything you want. And, there was no communication. So they bought tractors. A lot of stuff out there that you would see is stuff that they paid for. So when in comes the city with the mayor and said, we're here to help. It was like, yeah, right. Here to help my foot. So it's been a challenge over the years as they've changed leadership to try to have a better relationship where they understand that we're the owners, we'll maintain it, but we have to have some level of open communication. So I talked to somebody who went to their end of the season debrief about what they need to do next year, and there was a lot of the city needs to do this, the city needs to do that.
So that, because you had mentioned that before, getting with the associations to discuss this. Also,
They know the biggest rub is, since this came up, is something that I don't believe they did much of last year, but was a pain, sort of a surprise or pain on our neck, Nikki's neck, when we get on Wednesday or Thursday a call. Well, we have a 37 tournament, 38 team tournament. I'm going to be here all weekend, and so it's really difficult to react to that and do the things that you need. Yeah, it was real short notice, and a lot of the tenants, not that group, but when there was the Mansfield Mavericks, which was a team out of Ohio State, Mansfield, they were kind of a nuisance. But those fields aren't used with regularity and consistency to get the most out of them. And so whoever in the long run runs the concession stand and manages those dollars is less important than having an agreement that covers that. And if you're going to current ordinance, if you have a tournament, you can't help me on this one. I don't think you could charge based on that agreement. So you can't charge $10 admission, or something like that, based on that agreement with the city. Is that close?
We have told people they can't charge based on a fee schedule, because
Yeah.
it says you can't make money by using the city facility.
So it's been, I go out there just because it's fun to see a lot of people in town. They're charging. God bless them. So those kind of things are not a remnant, but kind of a carryover from the years in which they knew better than to ask for anything from the city. So we're trying to turn that around slowly but surely. But it's a really cool facility. And the parking lot is one of those you put on your list. It's like, I don't know how. Without some cooperation, we're going to be able to fund that, because that would be real expensive. It's chip sealed, and it looks best when it's all parked full. When it's empty, there are a few bad spots.
Well, this was something that we had discussed about South Park too, when the association played out there.
Yep.
And then I was down there one day, and that little, I call it a hut, or a little.
Yeah.
Somebody had just pulled the lock off.
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know if it was locked before. There are cameras on the way. I think
Those should be all up and functional.
so that will help down there. But
Okay.
then there were pictures taken of that. That was really that's kind of how they liked it. It's their property in there. I don't know what to say. On South Park, the light department went down there and have relit some poles down. They did a fair amount of work down there, so that's good. The T-ball field, I believe, was left without lights. Kinda at the conversation with the folks that are running it now. They don't play at night.
Yeah.
They were always,
Is that concessionary?
no,
It's not,
it's not been used.
it didn't look like it had
I
been.
can't remember, and I won't speak exactly, I think, but, because when I was involved as the dad, I knew the story better. It's really prone for break-ins and theft.
Yeah.
They break in, tear it out. You can look at it. Looks
Yeah,
like
I looked at it, I
the
thought.
windows are barred up like it's just not. So no, it isn't used. I don't know I know if we went having that discussion East Park with those guys that are trying to turn that thing into an ice field, what do you do with that building, concessions, those kinds of things. So I don't know the outcome on that, but doesn't get used much. South Park doesn't.
Well,
The ball fields are
the softball field out at East Park, have
Yeah.
you heard from those people? What
Yeah, they're grunting along. I think one of them waved at me today in the truck, so they're alive. I do know that one of the key guys who's got the skills to do what they want to do, his kids were still playing baseball this weekend.
Oh.
So they're,
Well, there were a couple of kids out there yesterday with they didn't look like bats, they just looked like sticks, with tennis balls. And they were having a ball.
stick ball.
Yeah, a
That's
stick
it.
ball on a softball field.
Yeah, I don't know, you have to relearn it, probably never be softball again, but it's being rebuilt as a baseball field for various ages, where you can move the bases. They use a portable mound. I don't like them, but that's how they do it now. They move the mound back. Can't have everything so. What they've done is awesome, and without getting on the harassing or getting on the bugging those guys. It's all volunteer stuff, and so I already talked to one of the key guys about a month. No, it's been probably 6 weeks ago. What their plan was for the fall. I know baseball sort of slows down, and then the same kids are playing football, so that is what we probably need to do before it gets too cold is divide up duties to get the rest of the way home. And this, they want to have operating say on that field when it's done. It's a galleon-based, largely based travel group. That's who's doing it. And I'm not sure there's any paper on that that says, Ohio Prime will have this. I've kind of avoided that, but that's what it's, it's the same guys that largely that coached the Little League team that lost in the state final.
Yeah.
So they're into it. There's a particularly skilled mason around town that has built the dugouts.
It's a nice dugout, right?
I don't know, it's getting there. It's getting sort of slow. But we ought to kick, my thought is we ought to kick in either some money for a contract, likely through freeze funds, or I don't think we're really in a position to help them much with reconstruction. But there's a net that has to be ordered. There's some other things that'll need to be completed. So, anyway.
Carrie's always talking about the skate park, because her kids use the skate park.
There's one, I mean, I know that's not a priority, like, there's other things that have to be fixed first, so I was gonna mention that. But like, it has one piece of equipment, so it's not really fun to anybody, after a couple of
That
years.
half pipe, you mean?
Yeah, with like the one thing there, they only could do that for so long.
Can that be expanded this way, or?
Well, I think within the tennis court, you can put a couple other, I'm not much expert on that.
Yeah, I'm not either.
And then the other thing I was gonna ask about, going back to the Amos, is have you thought more about, and this, I know there's other things over there again that has to be prioritized, but barriers, we talked about that, so that these young teenage drivers out there will stop doing 180s in the yard over there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's not been I'll be honest with you, it's not been costed. But I know exactly, there are several areas. Over on the Amix side. Okay, on the Amix side, I don't think some of the users of that removed some of those wood poles. So I suppose when they're that state of disrepair. Yeah, that whole Amix Drive is caught in that same, is this a reservoir or is this a park? And the road, which was horrible before the disc golf tournament, I'm not denying that, but that was a service road that was there simply so that water department trucks could go out there. It's a long time ago, and then it's like, that's how fishermen get to, they just, that's how they get there, and now it's being used for a lot of other things, disc golf and other kind of, so it's something to think about. We would, in the past, when we have treated it, this year Crawford came through, Crawford Construction, and they dragged it out, and the timing was awesome, and we've acknowledged that. I think it was particularly good. But in the past, every time that's been fixed, that road back there, it's been a water department expenditure. So we need to be mindful. Not that the Parks Fund is floating in, lots of extra dollars, but the water fund, we need to be mindful about the fund balance and when and how we do extra. So it's not a street, so I have real problems using street funds on it. But anyways, that's the roadway.
Well, then the last part.
And I'm sorry, and the cable rail that goes to protect people on that road. So
is Colby Park.
Yeah.
You go to Dillard Park out there.
Yeah.
And people were using it. And didn't you say you were going to put a restaurant out there probably next year?
I don't know where it's at.
It's
Okay.
ordered and it's in the works.
Okay.
Yeah.
forgot to ask him that later.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think to. It is a unisex, there's gonna be one
Oh,
commode, and we'll see, you could easily add a second one, and if there's, the need. If,
Is
we
it
just
gonna
have
be
to keep an eye
the
on it.
bathrooms now that,
Yeah,
that they have to come and clean it out, or is that what they do on it?
no, it'll sit,
Regular.
yeah, it'll sit right on top of the sewer line,
Oh,
almost.
there is, okay.
Yeah,
Wasn't
it's
sure.
that big. It's the big one that comes around Brandy's where the lift station is,
Oh,
and then
yeah,
comes
okay.
back in. And,
Yeah, that was redone a few years ago.
well, yeah, and then we're fixing it now, or it has been fixed, over at the corner where church turns into Murray.
Okay.
We were having issues down there, so that got lined.
Yes.
And have you,
That shouldn't happen anymore.
has there been a decision made with your end on the benches inside the
But,
dog park?
oh yeah, we need to do,
Okay.
I gotta get a fence up, and I'm thinking of my priorities. We've gotta get the fence up to separate the new bike path from the property owners. And, probably order some benches. I think they're 800 or 900 a piece.
So people
About
can't
right.
just cart them off?
Yeah, they'd be anchored. Isn't that what we're paying for those? Yeah. And then I thought, but maybe not, they were installed at South Park.
Oh, yeah,
I know they've been ordered for the same purpose, the dog
Yeah.
park.
yeah.
So that's the purpose there.
Okay.
But yeah, this whole bench issue that goes through the report is bench or the picnic tables. We're all in agreement with that. We gotta fund it and
I don't think,
such, yeah.
I was down at South Park one Sunday, and that is rented out, correct? That's a rental property then?
Very few times a year. There are a couple of family reunions
Okay.
that's where they go. They live nearby, certain members.
It was pretty crowded down there at South Park one Sunday. I was pleasantly surprised, the same way with East Park, they were,
Yeah, it's real busy. Just maybe cover every base. At East Park, I was checking today, the seal or the surface hasn't been put down. There was a little bit of concrete work. It needed to be done before they'll come back. So they're now on the schedule. I'm not real worried about the weather getting in the way of that. So.
What were your thoughts on developing Colby Park into a park at some point? It doesn't have to be this year, next year. I mean, it's got nice land out there, and if we're putting it, a restaurant out there, there's a dog park out there. I mean,
I'm taking the let's put a toe in the water approach and see if it isn't. I know I said that it's not meant to be provocative. If I had my choice, I would lock it up and never open it again, because we're going to be changing a little bit of the culture. We're going to uproot most of the people who would use that in order to have dog owners and people with families and that kind of stuff. And so I agree. Make a couple more quick comments about what stops it? We got 10,500 people. And if you look around or check and do some comparison, we have a lot of parks.
A lot of you do.
And so and the more stuff we do in those parks, the more there's a sort of, you gotta fund repair and replacement, whether it's vandalism or just stuff wears out. So as we build more stuff, we've gotta,
take care of them.
yeah, and so that's the bet. I mean, I don't know if and I think this dog park's a trial. People use it, great. It'll take care of itself. We'll look at another bathroom. As you may know or you know, they put a roof on the
Yeah.
shelter back there.
Right.
So if people wanted to come down there and stay a while, I don't, there are a lot of people who fish there too,
Yeah.
so it's not,
Does
and
that,
always have.
that
So I don't want to
area
give a
is
totally
still,
bad impression. Huh?
that area down by that creek or whatever, it floods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hell living on the watershed, you know, where there isn't much fall and that does happen, so.
So putting in a park out there would really disturb the people who do fish because they don't want noisy kids out there. You know,
Yeah, back
have a
up,
quiet area.
yeah, back up in, if that's, if south and east, that part, the open field back there, yeah, maybe so. And if you're getting a lot of use out of the dog park, we've talked about, that's big enough to put some play apparatus in there for the dogs. So we'll kind of see how it goes. We're not gonna compete with Iberia, that's quite an outfit they got out there,
But
but,
that's also very booked up and it's really hard to get in there.
Yeah, I
They're
know.
booked up like a year, the last
Yeah.
time I called them.
and your dog has to pass inspection,
Yeah,
and it can't be aggressive, and,
up to date on shots and,
yeah.
yeah.
But that's a whole different thing, but that's the best answer I got on Kobe Park. It hasn't been, we're giving it a shot. We definitely need a dog park, so we'll kind of see how that goes.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask Nikki, how's the cleaning contract coming, Nikki?
I'm meeting with Waycraft's new CEO on Monday and their employment manager, Vince Ponziani, who's the person I've worked with for all these years.
Okay.
Retired, so Tabitha will be here on Monday with her employment manager, so we can kind of talk through how they can
And
step
then,
in.
let's just go to the last item, crosswalk. You know, we talked about crosswalks for Lacey Park.
Yeah.
And do you think two are enough, or do you need three? One down by the swimming pool, and then maybe just one up here?
Well,
But I was looking at that the other day. It's kind of weird where the parking is on the,
right, I'll start on the east end, down by the pool.
right.
Where we land, we'll have to check to make sure that's city property.
Oh, that's right.
It might be the schools, what would be across from the football field.
Right. And that's where that boy was.
Bump, was it? I don't
Yeah.
know. Then I think one wide crosswalk that makes it clear where you go from one of the playgrounds to the other
Yes.
is probably preferred. I don't think another one is all that useful.
No, because there really isn't any place to.
And it's difficult with it.
Yeah, it's
You
difficult.
come to the Veterans Triangle on the other
Yeah,
side of that. So
they
that's
have-
what I think, a wide one, and they're in the, I think we'll see the speed bump there. And maybe one down, we haven't located, but there definitely needs to be one up there at the west end
Yes.
where people come in of all ages, drivers drive too fast, and we need to help them calming traffic. That's what I saw, a lot of road signs where they.
And there's a lot
Higher
of people
calming traffic.
from Mount Gilead that lives on Lacey Park. I think.
Yeah, I keep an eye on it. The usage is driven by weather and stuff. So it's still a pretty popular place.
I think the speed bumps are a great
women.
idea.
Yeah, we got slow
And
traffic down
They
there.
like that playground on the new one. They like that. It's
Yeah.
more interactive.
Well, for sure. You can't beat that circular slide across the street, though. That's what
Oh
the
yeah.
kids that I go down there with. Oh, we gotta go across the street.
And see, little kids when they and they want to run across.
I know. So I 100% agree. It needs to be wide. One big one just on the east of where the speed hump
Right.
is installed.
And then I thought of another place down where the baseball fields where the kids play.
Yeah.
There should be one there at where the entrance you go in. There should be one there, I think.
I agree,
Yeah,
I agree.
because you've got little kids out there all the time.
I forget, this goes back a long time. So it may have been, I can't remember. They put crossbucks up there for the few weeks while the Little League was playing. They just,
And now they don't do it anymore.
just got away from it probably. It probably makes it a little more difficult to park for people wanting to use it.
Yeah.
And I forget, I think it was based on a kind of a parents being concerned, older kids hot rodding through. Every teenager heat.
Yeah.
Keep going here, this will be it. I
And
can
maybe-
wipe out everyone tonight,
And maybe put a speed bump down there at some point.
Yeah, we are, I don't think that was actively looked at. There's an alley where there's some traffic that they want calmed down, but honestly hadn't thought about that until you mentioned it, and then, I know there were crossbucks, it might have just been for tournaments, but they cut off the traffic, which was, most of the people didn't like it, but I think the people using the park at that time, it was a good move. It wasn't when it's not, it was definitely prior to when, sort of the city manager era, when I recollect.
Okay, do you have anything, Kim? I think we hit the high points, but I'm sorry about the Amos and Amy.
Yeah. Stuff happens.
But I've been sitting here thinking about what you said about it being a reservoir. It is a reservoir, but you still have those golf, disc golf on that side.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it kind of happened. It was in, and then some of the questions about, is it okay if we do it? So it's really, it's good for Gally, and the folks that use it they're effusive about, rank this and this and this,
I
and so.
talked to someone one Sunday afternoon.
They have an interesting way of compensating the people who play and the tournament director. And it's sometime if you have a chance to come up, I'll try to explain that. Talk to Eric about it. It's not directly compensated. The tournament director doesn't make cash money, but it's kind of, it gets to this ordinance that is designed to charge somebody different if they're making money off the event. So some nights
it's cheaper than golf.
yeah.
Also, one more question.
Yeah,
The pickleball courts,
right.
is that going to be starting next year?
Well, I will give you an answer on that. It's gone slow for a bunch of reasons. I'll just stop and say that. And one of the things that I'm actively thinking about, don't blame this on being off on vacation, but we have a handful of projects that have been approved for freeze funding and have yet to be delivered. It wouldn't come as any great surprise if I told you that the second quarter from last December, the freeze fund, the endowment itself has lost a significant amount of money. Okay?
That doesn't surprise me.
No. You ain't think about it, but you kind of. So one of the things I'm thinking through and want you to think about is, what if we just next year, 23, just deliver the stuff that have been projects have been difficult to deliver, and I can go through a few. You mentioned one, the netting at Pico. We were listed as 4 or 5. We might just deliver those. And the schools, they're going to have worthy student graduates, that'll want scholarships. They're counting on it, I would suspect. But maybe we just tell them to roll the money back in, deliver what we have as a way of getting that endowment up, because it's the numbers like from June, July, so I don't know what it is now, but they've lost, a lot of money. A lot more money than any of us will ever make. I just think that's kind of the nature of it. So if we didn't take our allocation, 5% of what the balance is, that's how it works. That's what they have to make available for distribution. Might not be the end of the world. So think about that. Somebody might say, well, we absolutely have to do this with freeze funds next year. We could have that discussion. But I'm honestly thinking about just getting caught up and letting that fund bounce back.
Next week and talk to you about it, okay?
So we're thinking about.
Also, well, the reason I ask
Yeah.
that is I have two senior citizens in my complex that play pickleball.
Oh, pickleball?
And I have some friends up in Vermillion. They have a complex up there around Vermillion that is. I was up there this summer a couple of times watching Terry play, and these people are. They're,
Highly competitive.
yes.
I would, it must be, depending on what you think of Tom Brady, there's a report today about him investing in the pickleball team. So there's professional pickleball.
Well,
Who'd have thought?
these husband and wife at the hotel, they get up, they go out and practice out at the Y in the gymnasium. They're very serious about it. And Marcia keeps asking me, and I said, I believe it's next year.
Yep.
So that'll be good. But yeah,
So, yeah, it's going slow and I don't want to get into it. I think there's just a lot of projects, Freeze and others coming at the Y, so. Yeah, it'll be next year, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, any other business?
So,
Okay. Could I have our next meeting will be November the 9th at 7 p.m. here at the city building. Could I have a motion for adjournment?
I will make that motion.
I will second it. Meeting adjourned.
7:52.
Thank you all for coming.